A man named Daniel worked night security at an abandoned textile factory on the outskirts of a small town in West Virginia. The factory had been shut down for almost 20 years after a massive fire killed several workers during an overnight shift. Most people in town avoided the place completely. Some believed the building was haunted. Others claimed strange lights could sometimes be seen moving through the broken windows late at night. Daniel didn't believe any of the stories. He had only taken the job because it paid well. Every night, his routine was simple. He would walk through the factory with a flashlight, check the entrances, then sit inside the security office watching old surveillance cameras until sunrise. For the first few weeks, nothing unusual happened. Then one night, around 2 a.m, Daniel heard something strange through one of the security cameras. A loud, metallic banging sound echoed through the empty factory. At first, he assumed it was just loose pipes or debris shifting in the wind. But then the banging happened again, 3 loud knocks. Then, silence. Daniel leaned closer to the monitor and noticed movement near the old assembly room on the second floor. Someone was standing there. The figure looked tall and thin, completely motionless in the darkness. Daniel grabbed his flashlight and radio before heading inside the factory to investigate. The building felt colder than usual that night. Every step echoed through the massive hallways. Dust floated through the beam of his flashlight as he slowly climbed the stairs toward the assembly room. The banging suddenly stopped. When Daniel reached the room, it was empty. No broken windows. No open doors. Nothing. He searched every corner before finally laughing to himself. Probably just a raccoon, he muttered. But as he turned to leave, he heard footsteps directly behind him. Slow footsteps. Heavy footsteps. Daniel spun around immediately, shining his flashlight into the darkness. Nothing was there. The footsteps stopped. For several seconds, the room became completely silent. Then a loud crash exploded from somewhere downstairs. Daniel nearly dropped his flashlight. He rushed back down toward the main hallway and froze. One of the metal storage doors was slowly swinging open on its own. The strange thing was that the door weighed nearly 300 pounds. There was no wind inside the factory. Daniel approached carefully. As he reached the doorway, he noticed something on the floor. Footprints. Fresh footprints in the dust, but they didn't look normal. The footprints appeared burned into the concrete, as if whoever made them had been standing on fire. Daniel immediately backed away. That was the first night he considered quitting. The next evening, Daniel returned to work with a small camera. He planned to record his patrols just in case something strange happened again. At around 1:30 in the morning, he began hearing noises from the 3rd floor. Soft crying. At first, it sounded distant. Then, louder. Daniel followed the sound up another staircase until he reached a long hallway lined with broken office windows. Crying suddenly stopped. Then came a woman's voice, very faint, very weak. Help me. Daniel stopped walking. The voice sounded close, almost directly beside him. Hello? He called out nervously. No answer. Then, somewhere farther down the hallway, a door slowly creaked open by itself. Daniel raised his flashlight toward the doorway. A woman was standing there, Her head was tilted downward, hiding her face behind long black hair. She looked burned. Her skin appeared dark and cracked like charcoal. Daniel felt his chest tighten. "Man," he whispered. The woman slowly lifted her head. Her eyes were completely white. Suddenly, the lights in the hallway flickered violently. Daniel stumbled backward in panic. When the lights stabilized again, the woman was gone, but the sound of crying had returned, this time directly behind him. Daniel ran. He sprinted down the stairs and didn't stop until he reached the security office. His hands shook as he locked the door behind him. For the rest of the night, he refused to leave the room. At sunrise, Daniel reviewed the footage from his camera. The hallway appeared empty the entire time. No woman. No open door. Nothing. But the crying voice had definitely been recorded. And near the end of the video, another sound could be heard clearly. A whisper, right beside Daniel's ear. "You left us here." After uploading the footage online, Daniel received hundreds of comments from people claiming the factory was built over an old mining tunnel where dozens of workers had died decades earlier. Some former employees even contacted him directly. One retired worker told Daniel that after the fire, several bodies were never recovered. According to the official report, parts of the building had become too dangerous to search completely. Daniel tried to ignore the messages, but things inside the factory only became worse. A few nights later, every security monitor inside the office suddenly shut off at the exact same time. The room became completely dark. Daniel cursed under his breath and grabbed his flashlight. Then he heard breathing, very close breathing. Someone was standing inside the office with him. Daniel slowly turned toward the corner of the room. A tall figure stood there motionless. Its body looked unnaturally thin. Its arms hung almost to the floor. Daniel couldn't see its face clearly, but he noticed its eyes reflecting in the darkness. Two pale, glowing eyes staring directly at him. The figure took one slow step forward. Daniel bolted out of the office. Immediately. As he ran through the factory hallway, the emergency lights suddenly turned on overhead, bathing the building in deep red light. Then the alarm started. The old factory alarm system began blaring loudly through the entire building. Daniel covered his ears while running toward the exit, but just before reaching the front doors, he stopped. Someone was standing outside. A group of people. At least 6 or 7 figures stood motionless beyond the glass entrance doors. Daniel couldn't make out their faces. They simply stood there staring at him. Then, slowly, one of them raised an arm and pointed toward the hallway behind Daniel. The alarm abruptly stopped. The building became silent again. Daniel turned slowly. The tall figure was now standing only a few feet away from him. This time he could see its face clearly. Its skin looked melted. Mouth hung open unnaturally wide, and inside its mouth was complete darkness. No teeth. No tongue. Just emptiness. Daniel screamed and shoved through the front doors. When he looked back, the figures outside were gone. So was the creature. The following morning, Daniel quit his job, but before leaving town, he decided to visit the local library to learn more about the factory fire. What he discovered terrified him. During the original fire 20 years earlier, workers had become trapped inside the assembly room after emergency exits malfunctioned. Witnesses claimed they could hear workers screaming and pounding on the locked doors while the building burned around them. Several victims died exactly where Daniel had found the burned footprints, and according to old newspaper articles, one worker had never been identified. Survivors described him as unusually tall and extremely thin. Daniel tried to move on with his life after that dot for several months. Nothing strange happened. Then one night, while watching television in his apartment, he heard 3 loud knocks coming from his hallway, 3 heavy metallic knocks, exactly like the sounds inside the factory. Daniel froze. Slowly, he walked toward the apartment door and looked through the peephole dot. At first, he saw nothing. Then a pale face suddenly appeared inches from the glass. 2 wide eyes stared directly into his. Daniel jumped backward in horror. Knocking started again, this time louder. The door handle began turning slowly. Daniel grabbed his phone to call the police, but the lights inside his apartment suddenly shut off. Everything became dark. Then came the sound of heavy footsteps moving through the hallway outside. Very slow footsteps, dragging footsteps. Daniel backed away toward his bedroom as the knocking continued. Then he heard something that made his blood run cold. A voice whispering softly from the other side of the door. "You left us here." The police arrived 20 minutes later, but by then, the hallway was empty. No footprints. No signs of forced entry. Nothing unusual at all. The officers assumed someone had been trying to scare him, but Daniel knew what he heard. Over the next few weeks, the activity followed him everywhere. Lights flickered whenever he entered a room. He heard footsteps in empty hallways. Sometimes, late at night, he woke up to the sound of distant crying somewhere inside his apartment. Then came the nightmares. Every single night, Daniel dreamed of the factory. In the dream, he stood alone inside the burned assembly room while dark figures surrounded him silently. And every time, just before waking up, he saw the tall figure standing at the far end of the room, staring at him. Waiting. One morning, Daniel uploaded a final video. Online, he looked exhausted. Terrified. He explained that he was leaving town permanently because he believed something had attached itself to him inside the factory. At the end of the video, Daniel pointed his camera toward the dark hallway behind him. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then a tall shadow slowly moved across the hallway wall. Daniel didn't seem to notice it, but viewers did. The video spread across the internet quickly. Thousands of people commented about the figure appearing behind him, but Daniel never uploaded another video again. A few days later, his channel was deleted completely. No one has heard from him since, and according to local rumors, the abandoned factory still stands empty to this day. Security companies refuse to patrol the property anymore, and a tall figure with white eyes watching from the darkness